If you are a soldier and you are served by CENTCOM, it is your job to get fucked in the butt by the oligarchs. It doesn't matter. Unironically, that meme of like, remember who you're fighting for, and you pull a picture of Jeffrey Epstein smiling out of that net in your helmet. I know it smells crazy in there. They do have mold problems. He's been really, really, really funny about it, by the way. The USS Lincoln stuff. Trump just openly dismissing all of the reporting on it.
Well, no, that ship is moving. No, they're not.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Nah. Here, hold on. Here's the real clip.
Well, no, that ship is moving. No, they're not. That ship is moving right now, or very shortly, and it's being replaced with another very similar ship.
Has the deployment's gone on too long?
No. Not nearly long enough.
Not nearly long enough. The longest deployment of any aircraft carrier in history, I believe. Not long enough. Dude, if you're a soldier, Trump fucking despises you. And why wouldn't he? You're a slave. Yeah, just for your complaints, the USS Lincoln now gets sent out there for another fucking 6 months. Oh my god, man. So much open contempt. It's so fucking funny.
Reaction today. What was your reaction today to President Trump saying that, in fact, he didn't think the USS Lincoln's deployment has been, quote, long enough?
Oh my God. I don't think the man thinks before he talks, and I was really hoping that at some point there would be a redemption. Try to redeem yourself at least a little bit with everything that you do and everything that you say, and try to redeem yourself. Have some sympathy, some empathy, take some accountability for what's going on with your military, your ships, in your war. It's infuriating. I mean, we heard what Hegseth said yesterday. What?
There's got to be some crazy shit coming out of the USS Lincoln that we haven't even heard about. They've basically been eating rats for months. Reportedly, there have been major fights breaking out in the ship, multiple people attempting suicide. I mean, it's been like really, really bad over there. They're trying to squelch the info as much as possible. It's like, yeah, black mold. It's really, really bad. Like a social experiment creepypasta. Yeah, they're basically redoing the Stanford prison experiment over there. They should mutiny to Iran. Even as infidels, they would get treated better.
The president is saying today, it's infuriating, essentially saying that families are lying and service members are lying, even though the proof is right here on my phone. It is not fabricated. Nobody is lying. Everybody it's infuriating that they're not taking accountability and not having any sort of sympathy for our service members that they claim to scream and shout that they support when it's politically, sound for them.
We're so far fucking past this, dude. It's 2016. The world is ending, and we're still doing this, like, how dare Trump show contempt for service members as though it's not the only thing he's ever done. Remember when some U.S. service members were killed by a strike from Iran, and then the Trump administration hastily removed their names and faces from the website where they memorialized people killed by Iran because Trump said they were killed after Trump had declared a ceasefire, so their deaths didn't count?
To use support our troops, until our troops need support. And now suddenly everyone's lying, and it's a fabrication, and it's a misrepresentation. It's infuriating. And I so badly would love to plaster my face.
Why did they even do that? We could have switched them out just incompetence. You realize our government is run entirely by people who multiple times in their life traveled over to an island specifically to fuck children, right? Why did they do the openly corrupt, cruel thing? It's who they are. So you have to remember that all the decisions at every level are being made by people who enjoy fucking kids. I don't know. Like, I understand it's a little bit reductive, but it's also pretty explanatory, no? I mean, past a point.
And blow the whistle so loud on social media with my name and be like, this is real. We are real people. Those are real people on that ship. This is actually happening. But unfortunately, I have to protect my husband's career.
And that's why they get away with it.
And he's making a career out of this, or he was. I'm not sure what he's going to do when he gets back, or what.
Seriously, though, to hear all of this and for Trump to go, no, the people there are fine. They've not been out there for long enough, actually. I think Trump should punish the soldiers on the USS Lincoln and send them out for longer. Why not? pictures from the USS Lincoln. The funny thing is, this article was published in April 24th, or on April 24th. Look at that. We've known about this for such a long time. It's all right, dog. They got heat-pressed rat, or whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, it's not just the USS Lincoln. It's like that on the Boxer. Oh, this is from the USS Bush. Those on the USS Bush told family members they had virtually no food, water, or soap. On the Boxer, apparently they have run out of feminine hygiene products and no packages have been delivered. The entire logistical network under CENTCOM is completely collapsed, basically. If you are a soldier and you are served by CENTCOM, it is your job to get fucked in the butt by the oligarchs. It doesn't matter. Unironically, that meme of like, remember who you're fighting for, and you pull a picture of Jeffrey Epstein smiling out of that net in your helmet. I know it smells crazy in there. They do have mold problems. Anyway, sorry to any Taiwanese viewers, but in response to the rapidly worsening situation in CENTCOM, we've pulled our final aircraft carrier from Asia. China, I'm not saying you should, but if you're going to, now's the time. We can't do anything. We would probably lose if Mexico attacked us at this point. Genuinely, like, I'm really sorry, Taiwan. I'm really, really sorry. But, like, we can't do anything for you at this point. If Dems were competent, they'd blast ads talking about the situation nonstop. Well, that would inconvenience Israel. This is on the USS George Washington. Jesus Christ, look at that. Just eating shoe leather, yeah. At this rate, Taiwan will do better without us. Yeah, they don't need us fucking it up for them. This is the one they're replacing the Lincoln with. Oh my God, you're completely correct. This isn't even under CENTCOM. This picture is from the USS George Washington. We had this one out in Asia. Fuck, it's not just CENTCOM. It's literally just every sailor. Bro, look at my military. Iran had destroyed the last naval base in the region. Yeah, we can't park our shit anymore. Why not just mutiny at this point? Slaves. Governments got cooed for less. Oh yeah, 100%. But it's like all of they're slaves. I think a lot of it does come down to the American treatlerism, which is that Americans have this unique disease. It's not just Americans, it's Westoids in general, but Americans especially have this unique disease where they believe that everything's going to work out. Our institutions are so old and so like sturdy, at least they felt that way, that we can't really imagine it's possible that one day we'll wake up and there just won't be food or water. If you live in an impoverished country, you always knew this was possible. There are billions of people out there that have no guaranteed access to clean water. If you live in Bangladesh or Zimbabwe or something, you are well aware it's completely possible that you could wake up one day and just the shit you need to live won't be there. But Americans can't imagine that, which means that Americans are never willing to threaten their betters, because they think it would deny them the access to that guaranteed standard of living. If they don't mutiny because the food situation, doesn't that kind of go against the Treatlerite theory? Well, I don't really think soldiers are Treatlerites, right? Like there's kind of a specific carve out a little bit. I guess my thinking is that all of these soldiers think if I can just get through this, I go back to my regular American life, nothing will ever go wrong. But the problem is that's not true, right? Like they're thinking I'm going to keep eating shit and like dying aboard the USS Lincoln because if I just make it through it and don't get a dishonorable discharge, I get to go back to the suburbs, get my college education for free, and fuck my wife who got fucked by like 13 guys while I was off on deployment, They think that if they can just make it through this, everything's like sturdy and uphill from them. What doesn't occur to them is that it's possible the cracks are forming everywhere and that one day all of America will look like this. That's the disease that I'm referring to. I don't think these soldiers realize that the institutional failures that cause their meals to look like this can happen to the mainland too. Sailors, not soldiers, whatever. Come on, that joke was really needed. What joke? I didn't tell a joke recently. Like, not in the past minute. What joke are you referring to? You mean like the cuck joke? That was needed. Water warriors. Were these issues under Biden? Yeah, but not this bad. Soldiers have been eating shit for ages because we give all our money to PMCs. Like, that's always been the case. You know this was like a huge problem in Iraq, right? Soldiers weren't getting body armor, even though we were spending trillions on the war. The easiest way to make money in Iraq was not to be a soldier, but to be a mercenary. So a bunch of people, like, served their 4 years, left, and then rejoined as, like, Blackwater mercenaries and made 20 times the money, like fucking kids and shooting them in the back of the head after. My understanding is US MREs aren't that bad. They're not getting MREs anymore, dog. That's the point. What's happening on the right? I don't know. It looks like hash or something. MREs are only for field deployments. They're not getting good food, is the point. They do look like prison food. I thought aircraft carriers got the best food because of long deployments. Well, this is a longer deployment than ever before. It's pretty bad. Don't insult prison food like that. Yeah. How long before they get scurvy? I would not be even a little bit surprised if many of the sailors aboard the USS Lincoln already had it and that they were just covering it up. Genuinely, like, we have no idea how bad it is over there. We have no idea. They took vitamins. Maybe they ran out. Why not? They've run out of everything else. It's time, use the ultimate ratio. I think a lot of people really took the wrong story from this. One of the things jingoistic American chauvinists like to bring up as a point to us being the greatest country in the world is that in the War on Terror, we had a ready-made Burger King field logistics deployment truck. But what people tend not to understand here is that this is actually a symbol of America's ultimate cuckoldry to private capital. Like, how much do you think Burger King got to do this? How much money do you think they got to do this? Really think about it. Like, we're bragging about our logistics, but in this case, the logistics is that we had an infinite amount of money to throw at fucking Burger King. Meanwhile, our soldiers weren't even getting proper fucking body armor. They were like welding scraps of metal to their Humvees while driving around. We brag, but this is like the erosion of our institutions to the benefit of corporations has been a problem for a long time. Now it's just gotten to the point of comedy, really.
President Trump is downplaying concerns from military families worried about conditions on board the USS Abraham Lincoln. The aircraft carrier had its deployment extended.
It was pretty common in Iraq to tell who the merc was because they would have better gear than the soldiers. I really, really hope that this understanding becomes more popular in the future to recognize, again, the purpose of a system is its outcome. Essentially, everything the federal government does has the outcome of transferring tax dollars into the hands of corporations. Therefore, that is its purpose. So I hope that in the future, when we look at like, oh, the Pentagon is wasting money, they're not wasting it. That's just the point.
Earlier this year to support the war with Iran. Its sailors have now been at sea for more than 250 days and more than 200 days without a port call, breaking a record. Families have raised concerns about the serious mental toll the deployment is taking on the crew. And CNN has learned a sailor jumped from the ship earlier this month.
I think that the ice cream ships back during World War II were a bigger flex. Yeah, the thing is, though, and this is a key difference, my understanding of those, let me Google it, is that the government ran them. See, in World War II, we were actually interested in producing things and not supplying infinite money to the rape oligarchs. So I'm pretty sure it was non-branded. The ice cream barge is the colloquial term for the BRL, barge refrigerated large. BRLs were towed vessels employed by the Navy to store frozen foodstuffs. We had ice cream ships. It contained refrigerated yum-yums that our soldiers got. But notably, it was run by the government, meaning that it wasn't some private, public, fleece program designed to funnel billions into some American ice cream company. Nowadays, it would be. Wonder how much this cost. $17 to $18 million in today's money. About $1 million back then. We built multiple ice cream barges to supply our soldiers in the Pacific for today about the money that it costs to build, 1/4 of one drone. This famous story of American industrial efficiency, productive power, of our ability to supply our soldiers with luxuries even across the world, cost in today's money absolutely nothing. Oh, this answer is actually quite complicated. Okay. The Burger King truck was operated directly by the Army and Air Force Exchange Services under a worldwide master franchise agreement signed in 1984 under Reagan. The AAFES paid standard franchise fees to Burger King for use of its branding and recipes. Holy shit, that's somehow worse. We had our soldiers fucking with the Burger King hats operating it as a franchise. Not only did we preserve the branding, it was legally franchised. Jesus Christ. So it was like Burger King makes the money, but our soldiers had to operate it. Jesus fucking Christ. It looks like it's a little bit more complicated than I initially thought. It looks like some portion of the proceeds they got from the Burger King truck went back into the military. So you still have like the corpo cucking of using a branded franchise model in order to promote Burger King's interests abroad. But it does look like they were able to fleece that money back to some extent. I guess that's better than nothing. Essentially a paid ad by the US government, yeah. Article on the deal says they got paid royalties too. Jesus Christ. How much? Burger King was awarded. I knew they were awarded a contract. Why the fuck did the article that I read off screen say that they weren't given money? A lucrative contract to serve Whoppers and pita salad sandwiches to U.S. troops at 185 military-based restaurants in the U.S. and abroad. Number 2 hamburger chain. Yeah, this is from 1984. Under Reagan, we gave fucking Burger King. How much was it? Burger King will receive royalties and fees for 4% of sales, meaning they'd get $40,000 for each million in sales. So we supply the logistics. We man the truck. We protect the truck. The U.S. military does literally every part of the work, but because we slapped a Burger King brand logo on the side, they get royalties, even though we're giving them free advertising. Fucking incredible. Major General Richard Murray, commander of the AAFES, said, "We see this agreement as an example of how the military and private business can work together to the advantage of our service personnel." I cannot overstate how possible it is for the U.S. government to just give our soldiers burgers. Like, that's what we did with the ice cream barges. We just made ice cream. It wasn't fucking, what's the company called? Bluebell? It wasn't a fucking gigantic branded Ben & Jerry's barge that we sent over to the Pacific. The U.S. government just, with their own engineers and tools, turned these into refrigerator barges and made ice cream on them.
The Navy says the USS George Washington carrier group is heading to the Middle East to relieve the Lincoln. Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Chris Deluzio, a Navy veteran and a member of the House Armed Services Committee. And Congressman, I want us to first listen again to what we heard from the president when he was boarding Air Force One this afternoon.
Family members of U.S. service members are concerned about the conditions on board the USS Lincoln.
Well, no, that ship is moving. No, they're not. That ship is moving right now, or very shortly, and it's being replaced with another very similar ship.
Has the deployment's gone on too long?
No. Not nearly long enough.
Congressman, what's your reaction to the president's words there?
You know, when Donald Trump's turn to serve in Vietnam came, he dodged the draft. And for him to tell the families of those service members who've spent more days at sea.
So fucking lame. Who cares? Bottom right of the poster. Yeah, I took a look at that. Look more carefully. A 1945 advertisement for the National Dairy Products Corporation, which is now, by the way, Kraft. Like Kraft cheese? Describing the ice cream barge. So this is an ad from the National Dairy Products Corporation describing the barge. The barges themselves were not corporate branded and were just operated by the military. We used to make things in this country. The Army's now selling alcohol? Yeah, why not? Let me guess, private branded alcohol? Soldiers at Fort Hood can now buy a cold beer with dinner without leaving the dining hall. It's the first time the Army has sold alcohol inside one of its dining facilities, and it comes a little more than a year after the service publicly insisted alcohol was not part of the plan. 42 Bistro began serving beer, wine, hard seltzer, and cider to anyone of legal drinking age. Sales run from 5 to 7 p.m. Soldiers must pay out of pocket. They cannot cover the drink with a meal entitlement. Compass Group USA runs the Bistro, a campus-style venue modeled after college cafeteria and one of the several the Army's opened last year. The decision to serve alcohol fell to Senior Commander Kevin Admiral. These arms of Fort Hood. Compass Group USA. Yeah, it's an international food company. Can't have the military produce its own food. What would that even look like? The Burger King franchise made $111 million across 105 military restaurants in 2024. Jesus Christ. It's apparently profitable for the DoD too. I guess the troops pay. Okay, but get this. If it wasn't Burger King branded and Burger King wasn't getting royalties, wouldn't the U.S. military be netting more profit from those burgers? Like, if Burger King is making $111 million every year off of soldiers paying for burgers on military bases, if the military just sold their own food, wouldn't that make them more money? It seems like there's an unneeded middleman here. Maybe if the government just produced its own logistics. I'm pissing myself the fuck off today, dude. Holy shit.
President Trump directed the U.S. Navy this week to switch back to steam catapult systems on aircraft carriers, calling them more cost-effective. Here to discuss is the Hill's business and defense reporter, Philippe Timothea. So, Philippe, what is the difference between these two systems?
Well, the steam-powered...
It's pretty funny. Trump's making a bunch of changes that are basically just in line with trying to make modern-day naval naval ships, Navy warships, more like how they were back when he was a kid. There's no other reason for it, really. Well, besides the fact that there are corporate interests that could waste billions in taxpayer dollars retrofitting all of these ships with inferior technology. The U.S. Navy is considering a major redesign of its new Ford-class aircraft carriers to better match Trump's preferred aesthetic for these warships, according to 7 current and former U.S. officials familiar with the matter who spoke to the Washington Post. The president has expressed concerns over the location of the island on the Ford class of carriers, which operates the ship's bridge, as well as an air traffic control tower located more towards the rear. Yeah, he literally just wants to make these ships look like they did back in World War II. With Trump preferring the multi-story tower to be moved to the middle of the flight deck, like on aircraft carriers seen during World War II. Literally, just straightforwardly, like, yeah. By the way, the steam catapults are unreliable, so yeah, it's going to be another money sink. Well, yeah. You have it's another alignment between Trump's dementia and corporate interests, which is he wants to do something for stupid, petty boomer reasons, and corporations want to waste billions in taxpayer dollars. So, you know. Oh, this isn't even the steam catapult thing. These are 2 separate things. Moving that command center would be the second major design change prompted by President Trump, who on Thursday issued a national security memorandum directing the Navy to develop a plan to revert to older steam-powered catapults on future aircraft carriers, scrapping the electromagnetic aircraft launch system currently employed on the Gerald Ford. Wait, so the president can just decide he doesn't like how the ship looks and just fuck up military readiness? Yeah, of course. Well, he can do that, but only if it makes corporations richer. If Trump was interested in some kind of pivotal change that in no way, shape, or form benefited corporations, it wouldn't happen. But this one benefits corporations because this is going to cost a lot of money to change, yeah. It's just so stupid. Yeah, well, you know. Mods. Ha! This one's from 7 years ago. He's been on it for a bit.
President Donald Trump has reignited an intense debate over the next generation of aircraft carriers. He does not like the Ford class's electromagnetic aircraft launch system.
He's now promising to order a return to 20th century steam catapults. Military reporter Mike Gooding tells us how other leaders think we should go forward.
The idea with the Gerald R. Ford class's electromagnetic launch system is to put more jets into the
chances they'll ignore his order. The Pentagon would never ignore an order to give corporations more money for nothing.
skies faster.
The catapult thing's even worse. The steam catapult company is in a Republican congressman's district, and the electromagnetic one is in a Democrat's district. It's partisan bribe making. Yeah. What's the name of the company?
Retired Vice Admiral John Mazak explained to me in 2017 that the new system will generate 1/3 more sorties with 25% less people.
We need to be able to generate more sorties. We need to be able to cut down on the number of folks aboard the ship because folks equals money. EMALS has the ability to do what it is we need to do.
But President Trump still isn't sold. He'd previously said the system is so sophisticated it requires Einstein to operate it.
Okay. Yeah, what's the, does anyone know what company is teed up to benefit from these contracts? General Atomics, a California-based firm that secured a $1.2 billion contract to build the electromagnetic launch system, and the AAG for the USS Doris Miller, said the decision does not produce the emails in the ship's warrants careful reconsideration. Okay, it's a California-based firm that he's axing out here. What about the firm that's looking to build the steam catapults? The Navy is saving about $100 million a year on the Ford because it requires fewer people and less maintenance. Redesigning the carriers to replumb them for steam piping to the catapults will take multiple years and cost billions. That's the point. Steam catapults are no longer in production. The Navy bought the last set 20 years ago. Right, so it's going to be real expensive to get them again. Gotcha. Is it... Seriously, what company is teed up to benefit from this? It's not an open contract. I guarantee you they already have a plan to do this. Olson Tech in Allentown, Pennsylvania makes high-pressure steam valves. Well, we don't know if they're taking the contract. Let me see. It doesn't say here. That's unfortunate. What's the over-under on nothing changing and the steam catapult company literally just cuts and runs like that company that made nothing for 2 years? Again, the only goal here is to steal taxpayer money. There's no other intention. It literally does not matter. Whether or not they deliver or achieve anything, it doesn't matter. The next peer conflict that America gets involved in, we will lose. We're just not likely to get involved in a peer conflict because the global economic hegemony kind of relies on American economic stability, at least for now. CNN says that nobody makes them. Somebody will. Somebody will. At the very least, somebody's going to get money for the contract. So what's this about Trump wanting to redesign battleships? I can't even look up anything about Trump and the Navy right now because all the news on the USS Lincoln takes first billing.